Good day to everyone. This is Dr. Ferdinand Piana from University of Makati, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a lecture on the request to conduct research, okay? The policy on Research Ethics Committee. Now, this is something that researchers must consider in writing their respective research papers for them to pursue that research and for them to be allowed by the university um, to um, to gather relevant information, specifically, from their research participants or from their respondents. So bago po nila maipagpatuloy yung proseso ng kanilang research, no, is nire-require po ng mga universities, no, okay, in particular ng University of Makati, na ang mga researchers ay kumuha po muna ng request to conduct research. Okay? Now, this presentation is, of course, presented by myself, with references taken from the University of Makati Research Ethics Manual or Research Manual, Guidelines, Policies, and Procedures, as well as the National Ethical Guidelines. Okay? So let us now proceed in learning what exactly is a request to conduct research. Okay, now before we proceed to learning exactly what is the request to conduct research or kung ano ba yung proseso nun, no? So let us first identify, at the same time, learn some of the basic terminologies that relates to the ethics in research. No? Okay, so first off, we have Research Ethics Committee. So a Research Ethics Committee is a body or an organization that makes independent decisions regarding the review, approval, and implementation of research protocols or proposals in order to ensure the protection of the rights, safety, and well-being of human participants and promotes integrity of research data. So, ang Research Ethics Committee daw po ay isang organization na nagsisiguro, no, o nagtitiyak na yung mga yung paggawa po natin ng research ay maayos, okay? Ay walang nilalabag na mga karapatan, okay? Or hindi po nagkakaroon, hindi po na-expose sa risks, no? And harm yung kanilang mga research participants. Okay? So, by reviewing your research protocols, ibig pong sabihin ng research protocols is yung mga research paper niyo po. Okay? It could be in the form of your chapters 1, 2, and 3, or it could be in any form, okay, na pwedeng reviewin, no? Or basahin ng mga taga-ethics committee para makita kung ang inyong research ay of course, no, scientific, maayos, at wala pong nilalabag na mga ethical guidelines. Okay? So, it shall be constituted by a duly recognized authority and shall adhere to the national and international research ethics guidelines. Okay? So, dapat daw po ay sumusunod sa standards, no, or pamantayan ng National Ethical Guidelines yung pagtatayo, no, o yung functions ng isang Research Ethics Committee. So let us now learn about the UMREC, no, o yung University of Makati Research Ethics Committee. UMREC is a committee in the university that applies research ethics by reviewing the methods proposed for research done at the institution to ensure that research papers adhere to the ethical standards. Okay? Or ethical standards in research. No? So, yun po yung pinaka-main function ng UMREC, no, is to make sure or to ensure that all research done or conducted within the university adheres to the ethical guidelines or ethical standards in research. Para masiguro po natin na wala po tayong na-violate or nalalabag na mga rights and hindi natin na-expose sa sa risks and harm yung ating mga research participants. Excuse me. UMREC adheres with the Philippine Health Research Ethics Board, or FREB, a national policy-making body in health and other research ethics in the country. The committee is composed of faculty researchers from various disciplines selected by way of nomination and voting processes, who are then tasked to review every research protocol to ensure that all researches in the university are ethically and scientifically sound. Okay? So yung ating UMREC po dito sa University of Makati is guided po ng mga policies and the standards of the Philippine Health Research Ethics Board, or yung tinatawag nating FREB, where yours truly, together with the other members of UMREC, went through their series of trainings para matutunan po namin kung paano po ba talaga nagtatrabaho ang isang Research Ethics Committee. So binubuo po kami ng iba't ibang mga professors coming from different colleges, from different fields, with different disciplines, which is one of the requirements of a Research Ethics Committee. Kailangan multidisciplinary siya. Yung nanggagaling siya sa iba't ibang mga discipline, para makita po yung iba't ibang anggulo na pwedeng masilip, or makita as a weakness on a research paper. Okay, to validate also if it is ethically or scientifically sound. Now, let's now proceed to what this presentation is all about, which is the request to conduct research, or we call them RCR. Okay, so request to conduct research, or RCR, refers to a series of requirements, including forms and documents a researcher must submit to UMREC to assess and evaluate if proposed study complies to the scientific and ethical standards in research. Okay? So, yung request to conduct research po is actually the initial step. Okay? Yung unang-unang step po na kailangan pagdaanan ng mga researchers in processing their ethical clearance. Okay? So, dito po, kailangan nila magpasa ng iba't ibang mga dokumento or ng iba't ibang mga forms. Kailangan nilang i-comply yung mga yon bago po i-assess ng mga taga-UMREC, ng ating mga reviewers, yung ating research protocol or yung ating research paper, which kung makakapasa, ay siya namang mag-i-issue or magbibigay yung ating opisina, yung ating UMREC, ng ethical clearance or certification of review and ethical clearance. Okay po. So, may mga requirements mo kailangan i-submit, and these are as follows. Number 1, application for ethics review, or also known as UMREC Form 0013-1. And then we also have research protocol, or UMREC Form 0013-2. Number 3 is the informed consent form, or ICF. And then we also have the research instrument, o yung ating research questionnaire, okay, or survey form. And then last is endorsement letter from the advisor. Nilagyan ko po ng if applicable ito kasi may mga cases po where the researcher might not have any advisor, lalo na kung teacher or faculty ito, na out of his or out of her own way is nag-isip na gumawa ng research. So kung wala naman siyang kinukonsider na advisor, then hindi niya na kailangan kumuha ng endorsement letter from the advisor. Now, i-explain po natin isa-isa yung bawat requirement na ito in the coming slides. Okay, so the first requirement for the request to conduct research is the application for ethics review, or also known as UMREC Form 0013-1. Application for ethics review is a form containing a checklist of required information to be ticked or checked and to be filled in by the researcher for purposes of compliance with the basic set of requirements, primarily needed for the initial review. then subsequently proceeding with the review process and approval of the request to conduct research if all aspects were complied. So ito po yung unang-unang form na kailangang sagutin ng ating mga researchers, which is available through our QR code. No? Mamaya po ipapakita natin yung QR code sa inyo na siya nyo pong i-scan para ma-access nyo po itong mga forms na ito. Okay? Kasi may template na po yan. Maglalagay na lang po kayo dyan ng mga details or ng mga information na hinihingi po ni UMREC. Okay? So, pwedeng i-click, no? Pwedeng lagyan ng check, or pwedeng mag-fill in ng mga data or mga information na gagamitin o nakakailanganin ng mga reviewers, no, para i-review yung inyong research protocol. Okay po? So yan po yung Application for Ethics Review, also known as UMREC Form 0013-1. So as a matter of example, no, karugtong po ito nung previous page or previous slide. Ito rin po yung iba pang mga detalye na kailangan yung sagutin, no? Or mga tanong na kailangan yung sagutin in the form para po mag-proceed ang inyong request na ma-review yung inyong mga research papers. Okay po. Next slide. The next requirement is the research protocol or UMREC Form 0013-2. Okay, so ano ba yung research protocol? Research protocol is a document that describes the background, rationale, objectives, design, methodology, statistical considerations, and organization of a study. So yung research protocol po is basically yung research paper, okay, na naglalaman po ng iba't ibang mga importanteng detalye which was outlined po dito sa ating example, no, or template na nilagay. Actually, ginawan po namin ng template yan para madali pong gawin, no, or madali pong sagutan ng ating mga researchers, at the same time para maging uniform po siya, no? Kasi po syempre, we all know that each college has its own research design or research template, yung format, no, yung mga parts, no? So may kanya-kanya pong disenyo yung ating mga kolehiyo. So para maging standard po siya when it comes to the submission of the research protocol or research papers for review, ginawa na po namin yan ng template. Okay? And then pinangalanan po namin UMREC Form 0013-2, also known as the research protocol. So naglalaman po yan ng mga mahalagang detalye o mahalagang impormasyon about your research. Okay? It is a document that outlines the research study plan. Okay? Especially kung pang-clinical siya, no? So kailangan po ng research protocol. The research protocol should be designed to provide satisfactory answer to the research questions. The protocol is, in effect, is the cookbook for conducting your study. So reference taken from U. Busale, 2022, via enago.com. So it's basically the document or your research paper containing the most significant information about your research and why should your research be allowed to pursue or to continue, no? So dapat nandun po yung mga justification. It is the main document that will be subjected for review by the UMREC members. Okay? So yan po yung ating research protocol or otherwise known as UMREC Form 0013-2. Ito po yung iba pang bahagi ng isang research protocol or yung template natin. Ano? So dun sa previews, nandun na po yung introduction, yung background of the study, yung statement of the problem, and then of course yung title ng research, no, etc., etc. So ito po yung iba pang bahagi, yung scope and delimitation with research local, no. By the way, doon po sa introduction at saka sa background, yung highlights lang po yung hinihingi namin, no. Hindi na niyo naman po kinakailangang ilagay lahat, no. Ang purpose din po kung bakit kami gumawa ng template, gaya po nito, no, is para kumonti po yung mga number of papers or number of pages na kailangan yung i-print. Okay? At i-submit sa opisina, no? Para kumonti siya. Kasi before po, ang experience namin was, um, nung wala pa po itong research protocol na template, umaabot po minsan ng halos 100 pages yung pinapasa sa amin. No? And back then, kami pa yung nagpiprint. No? So imagine nyo po kung gaano kadami yung papers na nagagastos ng aming office just to print these research protocols, no? For review. Kasi kailangan din po ng printed copy for filing, no? And for archiving. Requirement kasi yon for accreditation ng isang research ethics committee. So, yan po, no? Para ginawa namin ng template para kumonti lang po yung number of pages na kailangan yung i-submit sa amin. So, nandun na po sa previous slide yung title of the study, yung introduction, highlights lang po, yung background of the study, highlights lang din po, yung SOP, and then yung, ito na po, yung scope and delimitation with research local, yung related literature, no, and studies, no, yung main topics lang po, no, hindi naman na po namin kinakailangan hingiin or hanapin yung yung buong laman nung RRL, no, just the highlights also or yung mga main topics lang, yung most important topics. No. Kailangan kasi siya kapag excuse me, kapag may nire-review po kasi kami, minsan ano kaya yung naging basis ng mga researchers? Bakit kaya ito yung ginamit nilang methodology? Bakit kaya ito yung ginamit nilang um, um, framework? No? Okay. Bakit kaya ito yung takbo ng kanilang research? No? So, kailangan namin mabasa yung laman ng inyong RRL, okay, para masuportahan yung inyong claim, no, or masuportahan yung inyong desire, no, to conduct a research or do the research this way, no, para mas madali namin maintindihan din. Okay, so kaya kailangan din po ng ilang detalye or ilang impormasyon tungkol sa related literature and studies. Okay? So, meron din pong bahagi rito which we call research methodology, no? So, kailangan din pong banggitin 'yan, no? Para malaman din po natin kung ano po yung methodology or yung research design na ginamit nyo in your research. Okay? From qualitative to quantitative to mixed, from descriptive, correlational, experimental, documentary, no? So, meta-analysis, no? Kung ano pong mga methodology or design ang ginamit niyo dyan. No? Ilagay niyo lang po at paki-justify lang po why was that chosen or used as your methodology in your research. So, dapat may justification din bakit yun po yung laman. Okay? Ay, yun po yung gamit niyong methodology. And then number 8 is population, respondents, and sample size. No? Research participants for qualitative research. So dapat din po ilagay dyan yung population of the study. Mula sa anong grupo kinuha, no, yung ating mga respondents, no? Gaano sila kadami? Okay, no? In terms of size. And then bakit kaya sila yung napili yung population and respondents? Anong meron sa kanila? Bakit yung grupong yun ang pag-interesan yung gamitin in your research? What's in them that justifies their participation in your research? So yun po yung dapat yung ilagay in population, respondents, and sample size, or item number 8. Item number 9 is sampling technique. Okay? Or ano yan? Criteria of participants for qualitative research. So, dapat nyo pong ilagay dito is bakit po ano po yung sampling technique na ginamit nyo, no? Paano nyo po pipiliin, no? Pipiliin or ipipick, no? Yung mga respondents na magiging bahagi ng inyong research, no, from the population, from the previous number, no, yung number 8 natin. So paano po sila pinili? Okay? May iba't ibang uri ng sampling technique. Let's say random sampling, no? Okay. Iba purposive sampling, Okay? Stratified. Okay? Basta kung ano, iba't ibang mga techniques na pwede nyo gamitin para mapili, no? Para ma-handpick kung sino po yung magiging bahagi ng inyong respondents. Okay? For item number 9, nakat yung number 10. Okay. Or nagkamali lang siguro sa numbering. Okay. So, after ng sampling technique, statistical treatment of data. Okay. So, yan, ano pong statistical treatment ang gagamitin ninyo research. If hindi pa po determined, no, or tukoy by this time, no, before po kayo mag-submit sa PUMREC ng request to conduct research, okay lang din naman po na hindi pa ilagay yung statistical treatment. Okay? Kung hindi pa talaga tukoy or hindi pa determined, no, hindi pa kayo nakaka-consult ng inyong statistician, so okay lang po kahit hindi pa siya lagyan ng laman. No? Pwede po siguro ilagay dyan na to be determined. No? Okay, kung talagang wala pa kayong idea as to what exactly will be the statistical treatment. Now, nire-require lang namin yan just to have a sort of idea, no? Yung ating mga reviewers kung anong uri ng statistical treatment yung gagamitin in your research para mas mabilis din yung kanilang pagre-review. Item number 12 is ethical consideration. Okay? Ano po ba yung mga i-consider nyong mga ethical standards, no? Or ethical guidelines para protektahan at para pangalagaan yung karapatan ng ating mga respondents na sumali sa inyong research. Ngayon po kasi hindi na ganun kadali maghanap ng mga respondents. At ngayon medyo wary na rin, no, or cautious na rin yung mga tao ngayon, no, na magiging bahagi ng mga research because of data privacy issues, no, because of the hacking and scamming incidents that are going around in our society, no. So masyado na rin po maiingat yung mga research participants o yung mga tao ngayon to participate in research. Kaya wag din po kayong masyadong magtaka kung bakit konti or bibihira na lang po yung nag-join, no, sa inyong ginagawang study. Okay? And then, of course, the other details is kailangan nyo pong lagyan. Okay? Parang may nalakawan ako sa scope and delimitation. No? Pero ito po dapat banggitin nyo kung ano po yung eksaktong coverage ng inyong research. Okay? Kung sino-sino po yung mga mag-participate. And then bakit po sila yung naisip yung mga magiging research participants? Saan po gaganapin or gagawin yung research, no? Yung eksaktong lugar or yung tinatawag nating research lokal. Yung time frame po, no? Ano po ba yung dapat ano po ba yung eksaktong panahon kung kailan gagawin yung research? Okay? Is it covering 2023 to 2024 or kung ano pang mas determined na petsa, no, o taon yung gusto nyong gawin yung research. Basta po sagutin niyo lang po yung 4 W's and 1 H, no, yung what, when, where, why, and how, no. Yung mga questions na yun. Once you answer those questions, parang nasagot na rin po yung scope and delimitation. Okay? So yan po yung ating research protocol. Okay? Lipat na po tayo sa next slide, no, for another requirement. Okay. Another requirement, no, para mabigyan po kayo ng request to conduct research na clearance is yung tinatawag nating informed consent form. Ito po, napaka-crucial the requirement din po nito ngayon, no, sa paggawa ng research. Ano ba yung informed consent form or also known as ICF? A form that is, an ICF is a form that is required to comply with the standard ethical guidelines, a competent participant's decision to take part in the research after receiving and understanding complete and relevant information about the study, as well as their rights without having been subjected to coercion, undue influence, inducement, or intimidation. So, a reference taken from the National Ethical Guidelines, 2023, pages 15 and 16. So yung informed consent form po is isang form na naglalaman po ng mga impormasyon na dapat malaman ng mga research participants kung ano po ba yung research, no? Kung tungkol saan ang research, para saan ang research, bakit kailangan gawin yung research, bakit sila napili bilang research participants, gaano kahalaga yung kanilang magiging parte, no, sa ginagawang research, and at the same time, paglalahad din po ng mga detalye kung ano po yung mga posibleng maging kahinatnan nila, no, yung mga risks factors or risks issues associated with the conduct of research. So, dapat may paliwanag sa kanila yun at dapat maluwag nilang tatanggapin yung mga risks issues na yun. Okay? Ngayon, pag naging malinaw sa kanila or malinaw na ipaliwanag sa kanila ng mga researchers yung mga impormasyon na yun, yung mga bagay na yun, okay, na sa kabila ng mga possible risks, issues that they may face, no, in participating in the research or in the conduct of research, willing pa rin silang mag-participate, no? So, payag pa rin sila na maging bahagi ng research, despite the fact that pwede silang ma-expose sa mga risks, no? And syempre, dapat nakalagay din dyan kung ano po yung gagawin ng mga researchers once yung in-anticipate na risks ay mangyari, no? So, dapat mayroong ding preventive measures yung mga researchers kung paano sila magre-respond just in case na may risk issues or risks involved yung ating mga research participants. Okay? So, ano-ano ba yung mga risks issues na yan? For example po, pwedeng manakaw yung kanilang mga private information. Okay, gaya ng cellphone number, email address, no? Dapat po kasi hindi talaga pinapakalat yung mga impormasyon na yan, no? Your address, no? Okay. And syempre yung identity ng participant, no? Importante din 'yon. Lalo na kung medyo may pagkasensitibo yung inyong ginagawang pag-aaral. For example, yung mga children in conflict with law. Okay? So syempre ayaw mo namang kumalat or ma-publish, no, may isulat, no? At may isalin, no, sa iba't ibang mga sulatin yung inyong pangalan na kayo ay naging in conflict with law before, no? So, o kaya naman yung mga na-involved sa drug addiction. Okay? Yung mas worse siguro, baka may mga research studies na or may mga research or may mga studies na ang tema ng pag-aaral ay may kinalaman sa mga sex workers, mga ganon, no? Okay, so basta yung ganung mga kasensitibong mga detalye, no? Siyempre may mga risks, issues involved yan, no, with the participants. So dapat naging malinaw sa mga research participants natin kung ano yung mga posibleng mangyari sa kanila at kung paano sila poprotektahan ng kanilang mga researchers, no? Na hindi po kumalat yung mga impormasyon na ibinigay po nila. Others may include yung pagsali nila sa mga medical researches na baka magkaroon ng adverse effect yung mga gamot, no, na iinumin or i-inject sa kanila. So dapat maging malinaw din sa kanila yung ganung mga bagay. In short, parang hindi po natin pinipilit yung mga research participants natin na sumali sa ating research. Or may part din po dapat dyan sa inyong research na in case na bigla na lang sumali si research participant but in the middle of the conduct of research, lalo na kung mga interviews yung research, no, bigla siyang nag-withdraw, bigla siyang umayaw, no, ayoko na pong ituloy yung ginagawa nating interview or nagbago na po isip ko, ayoko na pong sumali sa inyong research. Pwede naman pong mangyari yun, no? So talagang ikakat na yung participation niya, no? At wala pong magagawa si researcher o yung mga researchers na pilitin pa siya na sumali sa research. Kasi kung nag-decision siyang itigil na yung pagsali niya, wala pong magagawa ng mga researchers natin. Okay? Assuming that the participant learned that masyadong malaking risks or ma-expose ako sa mga risks, kaya nag-decision siya na itigil na lang yung pagsali sa inyong ginagawang research. Okay po? So, yan po yung example ng ating informed consent form taken from the study of our students in University of Makati under the College of Science, no? Yung mga psychology students natin. Okay? So, ayan po, no? So, in honor of those students who made this template, no, we're very thankful that nagamit namin po yung inyong pinaghirapan previously. Okay? So, ayan. So, Makati, yung research title nila before was University of Makati College Electorates, Gender Stereotypes of Male and Female Presidential Candidates. Ayan. So, tinakpan na lang po yung mga pangalan for purposes of confidentiality. But we thank you, no, for providing us with our initial example of an informed consent form. Okay? Siguro i-include ko na lang po yung mga names ng mga researchers doon sa note, no, or background ng ating video lecture. Okay? Acknowledge na lang po natin sila. So ano pa po ba yung ibang bahagi ng informed consent form? Let's see the next page. Okay, so ito po yung iba pang bahagi ng informed consent form. Nandiyan yung risks and inconveniences, possible benefits for the participants or to the participants siguro na instead of for two. No? And then voluntariness of participation, why you will be asked to do in the study or what will you be asked to do in your research. So dapat maging malinaw po yan sa mga research participants kung ano po yung mga dapat nilang gawin once they start participating in a research. Okay po. So yan po yung ating pang-apat na requirement, no? ICF or informed consent form. Oh, ito pa pala, yung iba pang bahagi ng ICF or informed consent form. Okay? So, para may guide lang po kayo on what you will do. No? Now, importante po sa ICF is mailagay yung confidentiality, no? Tsaka yung mga contact person, dapat mailagay din. Kasi kapag may mga issues or may mga problema po si participant, madali po kayong matatawag or makakontakt. Okay? So, dapat nakalagay yung pangalan ng contact person or persons at saka yung contact details nila, syempre. Okay po? So, yun po yung ating informed consent form. We now proceed to the second to the last requirement for our request to conduct research, which is the research instrument or yung mismong survey form. Okay? Though I'm sure familiar naman na po kayo kung ano po yung survey form, no? Pero for purposes of understanding, no, deeply kung ano ba talaga yung tinatawag nating research instrument or survey form, ito po, ipapaliwanag po natin. A research instrument or questionnaire is a tool used by the researcher to collect, measure, and analyze data related to the researcher's interests. Okay? So, syempre, ito po yung gagamitin natin na pangunahing instrumento or tool para makakolekta ng impormasyon mula sa ating mga research participants or mga respondents. These tools are most commonly used in health sciences, social sciences, and education to assess patients, clients, students, teachers, staff, etc. Or kung sino mang research participant or respondent, yung kukuhanan nyo ng data or information. A research instrument can include interviews, tests, surveys, or checklists. Okay? So information taken from www.pc.columbia.edu. So nasa gilid po yung sample ng ating survey questionnaire, which was, I think, taken from my students na ang research paper nila, no? The students back in 2022, 2023, na ang title, I think, has something to do with online content creators. Okay, so ito pa po yung iba pang part ng survey questionnaire. Okay. So, pero nakadepende naman po yung inyong research instrument or survey form. Depende kung ano po yung setup ng inyong research. Ito po kasi yung binigyan nating example dito is for quantitative research. No? Siyempre, iba naman po yung disenyo ng mga questionnaire kapag o ng survey form or guide questions, no? Kung qualitative po yung research. Okay? So, pwedeng nakalista yung mga questions, then sasagutin na lang po ng mga respondents, no? Kasi po yung mga questions normally are in the open-ended question. Ipapaliwanag ng mga respondents yung sasagot nila sa mga questions. Okay, and then moving on to the last requirement, okay, for the request to conduct research is the endorsement letter from the research advisor. Okay, a letter of endorsement is a document that confirms and supports the qualification, skills, and character of an individual or group from a person of authority. Now, in our case, no, yung research advisor niyo po. So, ito pong letter na to or dokumentong ito ay nagpapatunay na kayo po ay binibigyan ng otoridad ng inyong research advisor na pumunta na sa UMREC, no, para magpa-review ng inyong paper. Okay? Now, this is a very important requirement kasi para malaman din namin na dumaan muna yung paper nyo sa mga research advisors nyo, no? Or better yet, dumaan na rin sa mga panelists bago nyo pa po iakyat sa UMREC, no? Sa Ethics Committee for review kasi minsan may na-encounter kami na nire-review namin yung paper pero parang hindi pa masyadong pulido, no? Marami pang mali. So, or marami mga inconsistencies. So pag ganoon kasi, dumadami yung kailangan nating i-check or i-correct. No? So better na dapat kayo po ay dumaan na o inendorso na ng inyong research advisor para malaman namin na ito ay cleared na sa kanya. Once cleared na sa kanya, kami na po yung magka-final review. Okay? Para hindi na masyadong madami din yung ating magiging problema at mabilis kayo makakuha ng inyong RCR, no? Or yung inyong clearance to conduct research. Okay? Endorsement letters can be used in various settings such as job applications, scholarship applications, business proposals, or in the case of UMREC, no, for review purposes. Okay? So ito po yung sample ng aming endorsement letter, no? Pero sa ngayon po, no, at present, may kanya-kanyang endorsement letter po na ginagamit yung bawat kolehiyo, no? Pero ito po, may nilagay akong sample para mas madali po nating magawa, no? Para hindi na po kayo mahirapan mag-isip kung ano po yung ilalagay nyo in your endorsement letter. Okay, now tapos na po tayo doon sa request to conduct research. I-discuss na po natin yung limang iba't ibang requirements para ma-process po yung inyong request, no? Okay. At ma-issuehan kayo ng ethical clearance. Now, speaking of issuance of ethical clearance, pag-usapan po natin ngayon yung process flow of research paper review, no? Ano po ba yung mga pagdadaanan nating mga reviews para makakuha po tayo ng clearance from UMREC. So nandito po yung 7 steps, no, at yung process description niya plus the expected number of days na dapat ay ma-process yung inyong request. Okay? So first is acceptance of complete documents by UMREC office. So it should start with day 0, no? Okay. And then step 2 is initial review and classification of initial review and classification whether the paper is for full review, expedited review, or exempted review. No? This is normally done by the GenSec and by the Vice Chair. No? Kaming dalawa po ng Vice Chair ang gagawa ng trabahong yan. No? Then this is normally taking about 2 days. No? And then after that, no, step 3 tayo, the office assigns panel reviewer. No? So may isang araw tayo dyan para ma-identify kung sinong mga panel ang magre-review ng inyong research protocol o ng inyong application. Step 4, panel reviews the assigned paper. So the given time, no, or number of days for that to be reviewed is around 5 days. 5 working days po yan, ha? 5 working days. And then 5th step is office returns the reviewed paper to students for compliance. For full and expedited, normally kaya ng 5 days. For exempted, 1 day lang. The same day, pwede naman po makuha. Or the following day, pwede na pong makuha yung inyong clearance. Provided that talagang mapatunayan na pasok kayo sa exempted review. Step 6, students resubmit the revised paper for checking. So, dito po, ina-expect namin na medyo tumagal ng konti kasi nakadepende po yan sa mga researchers kung paano nila sasagutin or respondihan, no? Or magre-respond. Paano sila magre-respond doon po sa mga naging comment ng ating mga panel reviewers. Okay? So, the initial expectation namin is around 2 days, but it could go longer depending na kung paano magre-respond yung mga researchers doon sa review. And then once resubmissions were made, no, and naayos na po yung mga dapat ayusin, the next step will be issuance of certificate of review and ethical clearance. So, in 1 day, makukuha nila yung kanilang clearance. Okay? So, in total, I think it's around 15 or 16 days, no, ang kailangang tumakbo para makakuha sila ng ethical clearance. And by that time, pwede na po silang mag-gather ng data. Yan na po yung, kumbaga, pinaka fastest attempt namin para ma-release yung inyong research protocol and inyong mga clearances. Okay, ito po yung mga UMREC members, no, and mga panel reviewers. Okay, so may panel 1, panel 2, and panel 3 reviewers po kami. Hindi ko na po masyadong bright, no, yung mga names sila for hindi naman for purposes of confidentiality na rin siguro. Okay. So yun po yung ating proseso ng request to conduct research. At the same time, iba pang mga bahagi ay mga ibang mga impormasyon na kailangan nyo malaman about the University of Makati Research Ethics Committee. Thank you very much, guys, and until the next video lecture, maraming salamat po.